Yo, what is going on, everybody? Gabriel Santos here, and in today's video, we're going to talk about finding your authentic yes and your authentic no. Okay, so the context of this video is, have you ever said yes to an opportunity when you really meant no, right? And then later down the line found yourself suffering because you're doing something you don't want, right? And on the flip side, have you ever found yourself saying no when you really meant yes? And with the same consequence of suffering down the line because you're doing something you don't really want to be doing, or you have something you really don't want to be having, right? And it could be really something really simple, right? As like, hey, Gabe, do you want the last slice of pizza? And you say no because that's the nice thing to do or the polite thing to do, when really your heart says yes, right? Or it could be on a bigger scale, like, hey, Gabe, do you want this job opportunity, right? And I really mean no, but because there's so many different aspects that sound good and people would like it and people would agree with it, I say yes, right? And the one who ends up suffering the most is me, right? Ourselves. And so the intention for this video is to really create awareness as well as to have you gain more access to your truth, right? And really consider that it is instinctual to know what we want and don't want, but over the years we gain social conditioning, social expectations, as well as these deep-rooted fears about saying yes to certain things. And so what happens is we develop something of a form of like self-abandonment and self-rejection in favor of acceptance, approval, and validation of others, right? And so, like I said, we create all these different rules and all these different social expectations in order to get the approval, and as a byproduct, we deny our truth, right? And so, I know many of you watching this video or on this channel are here for marijuana addiction help, marijuana dependency help, and consider that you can use this process or this aspect of your authentic yes and no to really start to figure out, like, do I really want to be smoking weed right now, right? But weed aside, you can use this for anything, like I said, job opportunities, the last slice of pizza on the table, what you really want to be doing with your life. Because the overall goal of this channel is to have people align with what they really want their lives to be like, look like, and all things like that, okay? And so I guess the question now is, how do you do this, right? What can you do? What did I do to gain access to my authentic yes and no? And so what I did at first was start really small, right? Just really small things that aren't so big. And it could start with, what do you want to wear, right? What do you want to wear for the day out in public? And essentially what we're talking about here is tapping into your true self-expression, right? So real simple, like, okay, like, let's say you have this red beanie that you bought and you had all these great visions of wearing it, yet you don't wear it because it's too flashy, or you're afraid of what people might say. It's not what you usually wear. It doesn't align with your identity that people know you as, and you don't want the criticism and a lot of fear, right? And so my suggestion to you is to wear the damn beanie, right? Wear the damn beanie. And what'll happen is with the slow yeses and the slow nos, right, the baby ones, you'll be confronted already with that fear, right? Your nervous system will kick in like, oh God, you put the damn beanie on, right? But what you're going to find out is that you live, right? And not only do you live, but you probably feel good because you're actually doing what you want to be doing, right? And so slowly over time, just start to notice, where do you really want to say yes, and when do you really want to say no? And also start to notice the pain that happens when you say yes when you really mean no, and vice versa, right? Because I'm serious, it is a form of like self-rejection and self-abandonment, because what we're basically saying on a subconscious level is, hey, I'm going to ignore myself in favor of something else, which is typically fear or approval, or, right, which is basically just a form of self-rejection. And so really start to give yourself permission to say yes when you really want to say yes, right? And begin to let go of the old reasons why you can't be doing that, right? And it's usually, like I've been saying, a lot of social expectations, social conditioning, a lot of different beliefs, right? And the more and more that we can chip away at these limiting beliefs and replace them with basically saying yes, right? Obviously you want to be mindful, right? You want to be considerate. You don't want to just be selfish, right? Purely selfish. But, you know, going back to the pizza analogy, someone's got to eat the last slice, right? Someone has to eat it. And it doesn't mean anything. It inherently doesn't mean anything whether you have the last slice or not, right? You can make it mean whatever you want. And not to say that you can want the last slice, but you could still say no, and that doesn't have to be a bad thing. The whole point is for you to begin to become aware of, like, man, when do I really want to say yes and when do I really want to say no? Because what happens is, man, I know people who are 60 years old and they've built a whole life based on saying yes for the world's approval, right? And the scary part is that when you're 60 years down the line, you have a whole life centered around a false truth, right? That doesn't even sound right. Just lies, right? Because you're looking for safety, you're looking for comfort, you're looking for what the correct way to live is, right? But then you're 60 years down the line, you have a whole life built on a version of yourself that's not even you. And it's like, that's when it gets scary, because, like, oh my God, all my safety and security is in this whole world I built that isn't even true for me, right? And so my encouragement for you is to start now. Like, start now, chipping away at the BS, right? Chipping away at the BS beliefs that have you not have what you truly want, and just cross that bridge now, right? Cross that bridge now. Cross the bridge called fear of judgment, fear of losing people that you love, fear of rejection, because what you're going to come to learn is the ultimate acceptance doesn't lie in other people. It lies within ourselves. I have become so sensitive and in tune with when I want something and when I don't, that if I ignore that instinct, it really eats at me, because it's like, man, like, I wasn't, you know, I really said I was denying my true self. And so no matter where you're at in your journey, consider that you could start with something small, right? And going to the self-help industry, you know, the self-help industry says you got to wake up this early, you got to do XYZ in the morning, you got to do ABC to have a great life. Like, consider all of that is good to listen to and consider, right? To take into account. But by and large, only you really know what lifestyle makes you fulfilled, right? Consider that it's way more flexible. I mean, some people like routines. Some people like rigidity. Like, I want to be up at 6:15 in the morning every day as often as I can. Some people are like, I like waking up when the sun comes up, whenever that is. And some other people are like somewhere in between. Now, sometimes I like rigidity. Sometimes I like structure. Sometimes I like flow. Sometimes I like flexibility. And so start to just tap in and consider that, you know, there's more to you than you even know about yourself currently, right? Like, oh, wow, like, I've been so fixated on the correct way to live my life. I've been completely ignoring how I like to do it. And in fact, I don't even know, right? Some of us are going to say, I don't even know how I like to do it, because I've never given myself permission to experiment in that way. Yet when we're all kids, right, like toddlers, we don't have all these rules and conditions underneath our skull. We just live how we want to live. Like, oh my God, I want to play with this toy, so I'm going to go over there. And like, okay, I'm done with this toy. I want to go and spin in circles. Let's go do that. Okay, I'm hungry. Let's go do that. Okay. And obviously we can't live completely like children, right? We have to have responsibility. We have obligations. We have to operate more of like an adult, right? A matured adult. However, being a mature adult that can be held accountable and is reliable does not mean we need to deny our true selves in the process. Consider that we can have both, and consider that for me at least, the point, not the place of true empowerment is when we can have our true selves dictate how we want to be living our lives, and then obviously find a way to meet our survival needs and to contribute to the community in the process, right? But yeah, man, like there's no correct way to do things, right? And so as this pertains to weed, okay, I'm gonna bring this all back home to marijuana right now. You know, start to notice when you're saying yes just because, you know, you want your friends to like you, or when you know, you're operating under this narrative of like, oh, I'm supposed to smoke weed because the world likes weed. And just start to notice when you truly want to say yes and when you truly want to say no. And that could be a little difficult at first because you've trained yourself to just smoke whatever the fuck. But really start to tap in, like, see if you can go deeper than your monkey mind and start to tap into your body, right? Your body fucking knows. Your body fucking knows. Your soul knows. Your intuition knows. It's like, okay. And kind of the confronting aspect of this is that we've ignored that intuitive call within us. We've ignored our intuitive instincts, and that hurts, yo. Like, that hurts when your intuition says no, like, not now, right? Let's not smoke right now, but you're like, yeah, right, whatever, right? And that is a form of self-abuse. That is a form of self-abandonment. And so consider that what you're looking for, what your body is dying for, is asking for, is for you to begin to listen again, for you to begin to listen to what it's saying. And the more and more we can align with what our intuition, what our bodies, our heart and soul, what it's actually saying, the better we typically feel, in my experience, right, with myself and working with others. And it's when we can let go of all these fears, not to say we're going to let them all go and that we never have fear again, because we do. It's the nature of being human. But the more and more we can just get a handle on that fear and move in the direction that truly aligns with us regardless, that's really a large part in what we're really looking for deep down. And so yeah, authentic yes, authentic no. Start small. If you want the last slice of pizza, go ahead. If you don't want pizza at all, just say so, right? You don't have to do what the group is doing, right? You consider that part of being a leader is being willing to just say yes when you mean yes and say no when you say no, and being okay with the hard cut truth of it, right? Be okay with being direct, like, no, I don't. Yes, I do, right? And it's okay to ask for what you want. You may not always get it, right? But just start to be more clear and direct about with yourself, like, oh, yes, I want that. No, I don't want that, right? And see what happens. All right, see what happens. Anyways, guys, that's it for today. Hopefully this video found you well. Say yes when you want to say yes. Say no when you want to say no. And one final little short story is you may or may not find yourself being a little inconsiderate when you start to do this, because I remember I just was like, no, I don't want to do this, and like I wasn't being mindful of like the group sometimes. But you'll learn, man, you'll learn, and this really is a process of rewiring ourselves and recreating ourselves. So like I said, say yes, say no, and see where that takes you. All right. Anyways, have a good day. Have a good rest of your week. Happy freaking Monday. I'll see y'all in the next video. Peace.